Thanks, Aileen. We're back here live in the hall. I'm Amy Henderson with the Georgia Municipal Association, joined by Jason Schubach of the National Endowment for the Arts. And you are here tomorrow, well, you're here today to speak tomorrow on for one of our concurrent sessions on this whole idea of creative placemaking,
right,
which sounds really fancy. What is that?
Well, doesn't everybody love a made-up term? Yeah, we made up this term.
Is this putting a pin on the map and there is no?
No. It's basically, at the simplest level, it's how do the arts fit into your economic development strategy locally?
Okay.
So we like to talk about, and you'll hear me talk about this tomorrow, that there's no silver bullet when you're trying to make a great place. Make your city better, make your town better.
Like you can't just slap a coat of paint on it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, worth a grain of salt in economic development knows this. And it's about how you fit the arts in with all those other strategies, right? Okay. You got to have your job strategy, you got to have your environmental strategy, you got to have your housing strategy, your transit strategy. So what's the arts piece of that? Mm-hmm. At the most simple level, that's what it is. It's how do you weave in the arts in an intelligent way.
Into what, right, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not about not leaving the arts off in isolation over there,
right,
but about bringing them to the table in a serious way. So, we like to say if it takes 100 tools to build a good community and you got to kind of do them all at once, that's why everybody who is here at this convention probably knows how to do triple backflips. We like to say, there's probably 10 to 12 of those that are arts-based strategies, public art, festivals, all the stuff you're seeing around here.
Are there some examples in Georgia that you can point to that are where they're doing a good job with that?
I think they're all over Georgia. They're doing a good job. I actually, in the grant program I run at the endowment, Georgia was the most successful state this year per number of applications. So
that's great to hear.
Can't let everybody know that till tomorrow when we make the announcement, or Monday when I make the announcement.
But earmuffs.
Exactly. Can't let the towns know. But there's all kinds of cool stuff happening around the state. There's a town that's going to bring in and do artist residencies in a neighborhood because they're doing a community planning process, and they want, who hasn't been to a boring public meeting, right?
Right.
So why don't you use artists to make that public meeting more interesting? So there's a town that's going to do that, embed artists in a neighborhood. There's folks who are going to do a series of murals and events along transit lines to get people more educated about transit. What are the other projects? There's all kinds of stuff going on.
When we were getting ready for this convention, I had the opportunity to talk to Nancy Harris, the mayor of Duluth.
Oh, nice.
And they were very purposeful. They have an arts a strategic plan that includes the arts and identifies corridors and buildings where they want, and they did very much tie that to their economic development. Are we seeing more of this, not just in Georgia but nationwide, where cities are recognizing the arts not as okay, if we have money left over, we'll do that?
Yeah, that's what we don't like to hear.
Right.
I think it's happening everywhere. I mean, again, just to use the example of the Our Town program I run, we are funding everything from an Eskimo village on the Bering Strait in Alaska, I wish I was kidding, to a town of 12 people in Colorado. That's 12 people who have figured it out in Colorado, to Tampa, Florida, to you name it.
Right.
And
so the size of the city doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. And I think it's because it's all about your local assets, right? It's about who you have there. It's one of those great economic development things because it's not about bringing in something from the outside. You don't have to,
It's kind of doing an inventory of what you have locally.
Right, exactly.
And figuring out how it all fits together.
Exactly. And I think, so I think the corridor idea is a great one, looking at how do you, if we've got some empty storefronts, how can we maybe try to get some young entrepreneurs? Everybody's, that maker movement thing's just taken off.
Yes.
All those young entrepreneurs, and they need space, they need support, they're businesses, right? Just because they're in the arts doesn't mean it's not a business.
Right.
So.
And you probably walked past the pop-up market, the Root City pop-up market.
I'm excited to go over there. I haven't done it just yet.
I was checking it out earlier. I will be doing some shopping.
Exactly. I'm afraid for my wallet when I go over there.
But I think what they're doing is kind of an example of that. It's like, we've got a lot of beautiful downtowns around the state. I mean, I've been to so many of them, and they're gorgeous, but too many of them have empty storefronts.
Right.
And to bring in a pop-up market like that, and to put just for a day or a half a day, a group of artists and makers in that store, it kind of makes people go, wait, what if?
Right. So there's a couple great programs to look across the country. In Detroit, which has lots of empty space, everybody knows, there's a great program called Revolve, where they spent months working with young entrepreneurs to get them into empty spaces, had them redo them, spent a little bit of money on just some retail storefront stuff, insured them. That's a big deal. Insurance for those spaces is a big deal. And now something like, there was just empty corridors, something like 70% of them have people in them now, which is big.
That's a great success story.
Yeah, and then New Haven, Connecticut had a great program like that. But it's about building the full suite of resources to support those entrepreneurs. Like you do that with your other small business folks.
Right.
So just think about what do you need to get the space activated and safe? How do you give them some marketing and cross promotion, and then how do you give them that, like, the small loans, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, cities know how to do this stuff. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together. And there's lots. You don't need no need to recreate the wheel. There's great examples out there.
I've been really impressed talking to city officials and hearing from them what they're doing with the arts in their communities. I mean, cities of so many different sizes, and they're all doing. So many of them are doing something. Right. But there's a lot where they're not. Right. And it's that mindset that we're here, the cities exist to, collect the trash, provide water, take your sewage away and all that kind of stuff. What do you say to public officials? What would you say to convince them that the arts are important enough to plan for and to strategize around? Well, it's a local occurring asset that every community has, which you can't say about a lot of other economic development things. And I think that it's just one piece of a bigger strategy, right? It's not going to solve all your problems, but I always say, if you're not using all 100 tools, you're not using your whole toolbox. Why wouldn't you use your whole toolbox, And I think a lot of people think they're these fluffy little things over there. Oh, it's artists. Arts, And we like to say, look, no, they're understood sciences, I'm sorry,
right?
I don't understand this modern art.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what we're talking about here. It's not rocket science. We're not trying to build the next nuclear bomb or whatever. Right. There's understood strategies, but we as a field have not done a good job of getting those strategies out into people's hands in a way that they can actually understand them. So we're working on that as an agency to say, look, you want to do a cultural district. There's now a whole online National Cultural District database. You can look them up. You can look at all the tools. So we're trying to get those things into people's hands. So that's why I'm excited to be here today and tomorrow, because I can tell people, like, look, this is what it looks like. This is how you do it. So. And I will say this. I think our city officials in Georgia tend to be fairly competitive, not just, with cities in other states. That's good. It's America, man. They're very competitive with each other, and they see what others are doing, and they get excited about it, and they steal the ideas, and they build upon them. Right. So we just need to get one or two ideas out there, right? Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this conference. We've really saturated everybody with the arts this weekend, and it's been amazing. I'm blown away. It's been amazing. We had gospel music this morning to get everybody going, and it was just, you got to think about the arts, I think, and if you could see all the people gathered there, because it is that thing. It brings people together. Well, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. There's a study that was done by, and no cheating, people tomorrow are listening to this. I'm going to ask the crowd this. There's a study done by the Knight Foundation called Soul of the Community, and it asked folks, why do you love living somewhere? Not why did you move there, but why do you love living there? And you would think job, school, safety, all that stuff. Number one thing was social offerings. Number two was openness. And number three was actually, believe it or not, aesthetics, what a place looks like. Yeah. So nobody wants to live ugly. Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to live in an ugly place. Social offer, all that's art stuff. Yeah. So like, if you're not at least hitting that a little bit, your community's not. And what's the point of life without music? You know what I mean? Exactly. So again, it's something people want, and if you want to chase those young people to come to your community that everybody's chasing, you got to have a strategy. Yeah. Well, great. Right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being here today with us and for your participation in the session tomorrow. I think it's going to be great. People are going to go home energized with all these great ideas, and they'll be applying for grants in even greater numbers. That's what we want. We want to give grants out. That's what we do. Our cities, we like taking money, so we're good with this. It'll be a great partnership. Exactly. Thank you so much. We're going to go back out to Aileen out in the hall and meet some of our exhibitors.